enjoyed times of revival, times of spirit outpouring, times of refreshing from heaven on high. Why didn't they last? Where did the revival go? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Vashalach, when he sent out. Let's go to Exodus, Shemot, chapter number 15. We finally got there. Verse 1 and following says, Then Moshe and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahweh and spoke, saying, I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider is thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and my song. He has become my deliverance, my Yeshuat. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Moshe teaches the song and leads this song of exaltation and praise to the Most High on the opposite banks of the Sea of Reeds. Pharaoh and his army are destroyed and floating in the waters or sunk to the depths and the sea behind them. What a great victory. And so they have this prophecy conference that takes place, a time of outpouring. They sing, they dance, they celebrate, they prophesy, maybe not so much about a future event, maybe but just what just happened, or maybe it is future. When we look at the words, it says that they sang. In Hebrew, it is the word yashir. We would spell that in our transliterating to English, Y-A-S-H-I-R. The word shir, S-H-I-R, is the word for song in Hebrew. So they sang. It is in the imperfect tense. Now, that's a technical jargon there, but what it basically comes down to is an imperfect verb here can say that they sang, a past tense event. It can say, however, an ongoing present tense. They are singing. But it also can say a future tense. They will sing, or he will sing, she will sing. The context is generally that which determines how we are to apply an understanding. Is it past? Is it an ongoing present? Is it something in the future? Technically, we can apply a level of potential understanding here, not declaring a doctrine, just saying this is an angle and a different way of looking at it. Not only did they sing at that given point in time, but it could be prophetically speaking of a time where our adversaries are going to be supernaturally destroyed from pursuing us, and we will likewise, as they did, sing, dance, and celebrate. Now, if we continue into the chapter, it says in verse number 20, And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing to Yahweh, for he has highly exalted the horse and its rider. He is thrown into the sea. She's repeating the words of Moshe, but it's a different level, it would seem. And now that is the prophetess Miriam, and they're involving the women. Maybe we get a picture here of being that it's feminine in its concept, the bride of Mashiach, dancing and celebrating. However, it says in verse 22, And Moshe brought Israel from the Sea of Reeds, where they had the prophecy conference, the Yam Suf Revival and Outpouring Center. And they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days into the wilderness. 3 days. 3 days. Found no water. And they came to Marah, and they were unable to drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. So the name of it was called Marah. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, What are we to drink? It only took 3 days. Let me go back and look at that again. Did it say 3 days? It says 3 days. 3 days. Revival lasted 3 days. They were prophesying, they were jumping, they were dancing, they were celebrating. Their adversaries have been destroyed. They are a free people. They don't ever have to go back to Mitzrayim. They are free. Yah has demonstrated his hand supernaturally in their behalf. And 3 days later, they failed the test of the Sotah, S-O-T-A-H. What is this? This is the woman that the Torah describes as being deemed suspicious. It would seem that she has been suspiciously aligned with, seen with, in the company with another man who is not her husband. And she's given the test of bitter waters to prove her fidelity or her infidelity. We're told about in the book of Revelation that wormwood, like a planetary being, an asteroid, a star, is going to hit the earth and it's going to poison the waters and they're going to be bitter. It's the test of bitter waters. It is proving the fidelity of the bride of Mashiach. It happened 3 days after revival had begun and broke out. They were rejoicing until they got to the bitter waters and they failed the test. Moshe is shown the sign of a tree, a Sadiq, a righteous man, is a tree planted by the rivers of living waters. It's thrown in. It is a type of Messiah, making our bitter waters sweet. So this Yam Suf revival leads then to bitter waters, and now they have the Mara revival. And the people are drinking and they're happy. And then they come down to a place called Elam, where there are 12 fountains of water and 70 palm trees in verse 27. And they camp there. And there they have the Elam outpouring. They're camping by water sources. And there was a flow of the Spirit, symbolically. They're happy. Trees, palm trees, Sadiqs surround them, and it's a good place to be. And then in chapter 16, they set out from Elam, and all the children of the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, between Elam and Sinai. And there in verse 2, it says that they grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness, saying, if we'd only died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by pots of meat, we ate bread to satisfaction. You brought us into this wilderness to put us, all this assembly, to death with hunger. Revivals do not last because people do not mature. Yah is supernaturally revealing himself in the cloud by day and a pillar of fire at night. We normally have water to rain down from heaven for us, and bread comes up out of the earth. Yah switches it around, and he brings water for them out of a rock, and he's going to rain down bread from heaven for them. We're about to read how that manna shows up. A revelation of Yeshua as the bread of life. The water that comes from the rock out of its side is a revelation of Yeshua, whose side was riven, creased, wounded for us, and water came forth. Yeshua says that he is the bread of life. I have the ability to give you the waters of everlasting life, living waters. And if you come to me, I will cause an artesian well of living water to spring up inside of you. Somehow we've got to get revival internalized to where it's not an outward experience of goosebumps and hair standing on end, excited songs, singing and dancing. Those things are wonderful, but they're temporary. Why don't revivals last? Because revivals remain on the outside as something we see like a spectacle. It's when revivals are internalized and become one and a part of us. And the essence of this revelation changes us. That's when revivals endure. Shabbat shalom to you, your family, all who gather with you. We love you. We appreciate you, pray for you, and appreciate your prayers for us. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, shalom.